Welcome to everyone joining us. I have 12:30 by my clock, so we'll get started with today's North Central IPM Center Pests and Progress webinar. We're excited. Today's webinar is the IPM Institute, Advancing IPM in Urban Areas. My name is Laura Isles. I'm one of the co-directors of the North Central IPM Center. We're one of 4 regional IPM centers. We're all supported by the USDA NIFA Crop Protection and Pest Management Regional Coordination Program. And we have a mission to coordinate IPM across the region by sharing and promoting IPM research, extension, and teaching activities. And so we're excited to do that today with the IPM Institute. As Ryan is speaking, if you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A part at the bottom of your Zoom screen, preferably not the chat. If you're having problems hearing or something like that, put that in the chat. If you have questions for Ryan, put that in the Q&A portion, and then we will go through those questions at the end of the Zoom. And I think Ryan has a question for you as we get started. So if you could launch that poll, Kayla, and then I should introduce, this is Ryan Anderson. He's with the IPM Institute, and I will let you take it away, Ryan, and explain to us about urban ag.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura. I really appreciate it. My name is Ryan Anderson, and I am the Sustainable Communities Manager for the IPM Institute of North America. We're an environmental nonprofit based out of Madison, Wisconsin, and our mission is to advance sustainability in agriculture and communities through market mechanisms based in integrated pest management. We have a lot of programs at the IPM Institute, and I actually manage 4 of those programs, all under the Sustainable Communities Group umbrella that we have here at the IPM Institute. And those 4 programs are Green Shield Certified, Midwest Grows Green, Pest Defense for Healthy Schools, and our TIC IPM Working Group. And I'll touch on each of those throughout this presentation. But all these programs focus on promoting and implementing sustainable and safer pest and weed management practices where people live, learn, and play. And we truly believe that this is an important issue, especially to focus on urban areas, because 82% of Americans either live in urban or residential areas. And unfortunately, the science behind urban IPM, as well as just urban entomology and horticulture, is falling behind on this 82%. We have a lot of great entomologists, urban IPM experts, but Pest Control Technology magazine did a study, or a kind of feature investigative report last year that was looking at urban entomology programs, and has seen that a lot of current professors or extension professionals in urban IPM education, as well as urban entomology, a lot of them were either retiring or going into new fields because we're seeing a decrease in funding for urban IPM and urban entomology. And that's a problem. And as this research that you can see on the screen, Pest Control Technology worked with the firm to survey more than 100 different pest management operators or pest control operators about the future viability of entomology programs. And you can see that they view entomology programs, urban entomology programs, as very important for things like continuing education for pesticide applicators licenses, insect identification, providing speakers for pest control meetings. But the majority of the survey respondents said that they are either very or somewhat concerned in the future viability of these entomology programs. They might not be around in the future to provide all these essential services. And so that's really where the IPM Institute comes in. We're trying to support all the extension work, all the great extension work, as well as urban entomology work in terms of education, as well as implementing pest reduction, as well as pesticide reduction programs. And our main audience is, in fact, pest management providers, facility managers, and staff of park and school districts. which we view as essential jobs. And actually, a lot of these jobs were viewed as essential during the pandemic, but they are currently very undervalued in our municipalities and in our school districts. There's a study, consistent study between 1992 and 2007. It was a report. That report ended in 2007, so I don't have modern data because that data is not around anymore. But that report found that the median U.S. school between those years allocated less than 10% of its budget for operation and maintenance, which is, it's just not a whole lot for operations and maintenance of our school buildings as well as our grounds. And on the flip side, I do a lot of work with park districts and school districts, and we're seeing $1 million investments in these installation of rain gardens, artificial turf, HVAC, appliances, and the list goes on. But on the backside, we're not seeing much investment in the year-to-year management of these capital expenditures. So I work mostly in outdoor landscapes, and we're seeing a lot of great programs about installing native plants, but then they don't have the management for the native plants in the future. And so those native plants soon become weeds, and then they resort to herbicide application and start from day one. That's where we come in. We really try to stress that you need to have management plans in place for all these new installations and in the long term, if we're going to have viable urban environments. So our 3 working groups that have been funded by the NCIPM all deal with urban IPM. We have our Lawn and Land Forum, our School IPM Working Group, and our TIC IPM Working Group. I'm not going to touch too much on the TIC IPM Working Group because Scott Larson, our other principal investigator, is actually going to present at a Pests and Progress webinar next month, I believe. So he will cover a lot of the TIC IPM Working Group. So I'm mostly going to focus on the Lawn and Land Forum and the School IPM Working Group, what we're getting funded for to do work with the NCIPM this year and what we've gotten funded for in the past through the NCIPM. And I'll start with the Lawn and Land Forum because that has been the one that I've been involved since its beginning. It's actually, I consider it my brainchild. I started in 2016 and the NCIPM was the first funder of this effort. And really the primary issue that we're trying to deal with the Midwest Grows Green Lawn and Land Forum is how can we maintain healthy waters, people, pets, and pollinators without synthetic pesticides and fertilizers, or with very limited synthetic pesticides and fertilizers. So currently the lawn and garden sector applies nearly 107 million pounds of herbicides each year. And this outpaces the agricultural sector's per acre application rate by 3 times. We got this research from the EPA report in 2017 about pesticide applications. We developed Midwest Grows Green to address this information gap into how we are managing our landscapes, our turf grass landscapes, but also our natural areas. So Midwest Grows Green was started in 2015, and our mission is to educate and empower citizens to take sustainable landscaping action that reduces harmful runoff into our waterways, protects the health of our most vulnerable citizens, and reduces negative impacts of pesticides on non-target species such as pollinators. And because of our work with the NCIPM, as well as a couple other foundational support, we've been able to come up with this vision to make all public and private parks, playing fields, and outdoor landscapes in the Midwest organic by the year 2030. And it's our Lawn and Land Forum working group that develops a lot of approaches that we are taking to achieve our vision. So to achieve our vision, we're going to identify, teach, and implement sustainable landscaping. We're going to identify sustainable landscaping through our Green Shield Certified for Landscape standards, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But our working group with the NCIPM has reviewed these standards that we piloted last year and that we're growing into the future. We're teaching sustainable landscaping through our Lawn and Land Forum and the working group. We're having multiple webinars each year, as well as an in-person workshop. And then finally, we're implementing sustainable landscaping through our technical assistance program that uses a lot of the approaches that are shared on Lawn and Land Forum's website, lawnandland.org. Starting off with Green Shield Certified for Landscape. So we have a working group in our Lawn and Land Forum that's funded by the NCIPM that meets quarterly. And last year and the year before, we charged the working group with reviewing a number of sections in our Green Shield Certified for Landscapes guide and evaluation. And we released that guide and evaluation last year, last April, I believe. And we believe this is the first sustainable landscaping certification in the United States. It's offered for both landscape management providers, but also natural areas, parks, football fields, you name it, can get certified by these standards. And applicants must meet minimum requirements and score 80% or above on our scored practices sections. So the minimum requirements are you legally compliant? Do you have a pesticide applicator's license if you are applying pesticides as a company? But also we're looking at the products. Are they GSC compliant, which means are they not neurotoxic? Do they not include carcinogens? Are they not endocrine disruptors? Do they not harm birds, pollinators, fish, and other aquatic life? And then the scored practices are going above and beyond in terms of sustainable landscaping. So are you incorporating a certain amount of native plants into your design landscapes? Are you doing compost top dressing? Are you overseeding bare soil areas? Are you aerating? Things like that are factored into that 80% or above score. And we provide them with a report. And if they meet our minimum requirements and score 80% or above, they achieve our certification. And so we announced last week the first 3 companies that achieved our certification. And those are Good Nature Organic Lawn Care, Dig Right In Landscaping, and Natural Communities Native Plants. And they service more than 7,000 customers across primarily the Midwest, but this is a national standard, and we're hoping to go past the Midwest as well with Green Shield Certified for Landscapes. The Lawn and Land Forum is our platform for teaching sustainable landscaping. We want to teach as many professionals as possible so that they can meet our Green Shield Certified for Landscape standards. And so we have a free website, lawnandland.org, where we put any of our presentations through our Lawn and Land Forum, because we have 2 webinars and 1 in-person workshop each year. So we have recordings of those webinars as well as of those in-person workshops. But we also do interviews of professionals in the field, like from a park district or even a company, talking about different concepts like compost top dressing or grass selection, or if we're talking about natural areas, what are viable alternatives to glyphosate, which is the most used herbicide in natural area management. So we have 2 different toolkits. We have our sports and recreational field management section. So that's turf grass management. And then we also have our natural area management and something that we are promoting called the flywheel approach to weed management. And all that has been supported by the NCIPM in the past, coming up with this resource. And we're able to keep this resource free to users because of NCIPM funding. And our working group, of course, reviews all the information that we're putting up on lawnandland.org, as well as for our webinars. We did host 2 webinars last week. So that is our 2 webinars for the Lawn and Land Forum. They were focused mostly on insects and animal pests. So we had one on invasive jumping worms, which is an emerging pest in the landscaping industry. And that was last Tuesday. And then last Thursday, we were looking at different insect pests of turf grass, like grubs, as well as bill bugs. And for both of these webinars, we're going to have recordings and we're going to do summaries and put them up on lawnandland.org. And I want to mention, it's not specifically related to our Lawn and Land Forum, but we are doing one more webinar for our Green Shield Week, actually tomorrow, and that is proposed restrictions by the EPA on rodenticides. And we're having Dr. Bobby Corrigan talk about how you can comply with these proposed restrictions on rodenticides, as well as a presenter from American Bird Conservancy that's going to go through those proposed restrictions. So I would highly encourage, if you haven't heard about this session yet, to attend. It's going to be a 2-hour session, and it's very pertinent to the proposed restrictions. Finally, on the implementation phase, we have something called our Technical Assistance Program, or TAP for short, and it uses all the approaches that can be found on lawnandland.org. And I'm just going to do a case study of Elgin, Illinois. It's a northwest suburb of Chicago area. We bring a soil scientist out to highly trafficked sports and recreational fields or natural areas, and they take soil tests. They assess the site for weed and pest pressure, as well as just overall vegetation quality. And then they develop a 3-year sustainable landscape management plan for how to restore that site without any synthetic pesticides and fertilizers. So all of our reports, as I said, are in line with lawnandland.org. For this specific site, we just said we wanted to rake out a lot of compacted soil, rocky soil, and then bring in about 120 cubic yards of compost top dressing, and then just overseed that with a strong grass seed. And within a month, we had grass established on this site. We use no synthetic pesticides or fertilizers. So that's the kind of work that we're doing through our technical assistance program to help park districts and school districts implement sustainable landscaping. All right, now I want to change gears just a little bit to school IPM. It's very related to our lawn and land forum because we are working with a lot of schoolyards through Midwest Grows Green. But our focus for school IPM is how to reduce the occurrence of asthma-induced hospitalizations and absenteeism among K through 12 school children by reducing triggers of pests and pesticides. And for us, the main concern is the EPA said that only about 15 to 20% of school districts have effective IPM programs across the nation. And we want to boost up that number, obviously, to ideally 100% of all schools, because there are a lot of pests that find schools conducive to their living environments, their shelter, and it has food and water. And so we want to address those pests with least toxic strategies. So we have 3 objectives for our School IPM Working Group. The School IPM Working Group has been funded for before I was here. And the very first funding was to develop this Pest Defense for Healthy Schools, which is a free online training module or resource, Pest Defense for Healthy Schools.org. And we want to establish Pest Defense as a central hub of information for school IPM. So there are about 9 different Pest Defense modules dealing with different occupations within schools. So IPM for school nurses, also for administrators, teachers, facility managers, ground managers, and the list goes on. School staff can just go to our website, take those modules, those courses, and then there's a quiz after, and they get a certificate for completing the course. So we're continually promoting this free resource through bi-monthly webinars, and I have a webinar upcoming next month, May 25th, with Ben Grimm from Iowa City Schools. So it's a practitioner of IPM in schools. But we also do a monthly newsletter that covers current events. If there's any news stories, we also interview either an IPM practitioner or an IPM expert about how to implement school IPM. And then we have any upcoming events, like if we have any of these upcoming webinars, or if anybody else has, any other organization has a webinar that is associated with school IPM, we'll include in that monthly newsletter. So it's all promoting, trying to drive more and more people to take our Pest Defense or Healthy Schools training. The second objective we have for this year, and this is a new objective for us, we want to improve knowledge of the motivation, structures, and stakeholders behind effective state and school IPM policies. We know that there are a number of school IPM or statewide school IPM policies or pesticide reduction policies. We just want to have a further understanding of what goes into those and, how you can effectively implement these policies once they are enacted or adopted. And so we are interviewing a number of different practitioners and stakeholders involved in the adoption and implementation of these IPM policies. And eventually we're going to develop a fact sheet to cover mainly the North Central region, state pesticide and IPM laws, but it might go across the nation in terms of school IPM, because school IPM does apply, of course, across the nation, and we have a reach through our school IPM working group across the United States. And then the final objective, and this is an objective we added last year, actually, for our school IPM, is I presented that research that most maintenance and operation budgets or schools are under 10%. So what we figured is if we can incorporate IPM more into the curriculum of schools, with their main service that schools do, then we can potentially increase the expenditures on IPM and just operations and maintenance overall of our facilities and grounds. So that's what we're trying to develop, is interactive and experiential pest defense workshops for students in K through 12 schools. And we also want to have our students involved in IPM evaluations through Green Shield certified. And we've been piloting it last year as well as this year with a school in the Chicago area. It's actually right by me, just a couple blocks. I'm in Chicago myself. It's called Walcott College Prep. And we've been working with a science teacher, and we brought in Kids in Action for Biological Control. They have a lot of curriculum about biocontrol, especially in agriculture. So they have a number of different courses that teachers can bring to their own classes. So we brought an instructor from Kids in Action last year, and this is some photos of that course, that biocontrol course that we did with students. And now on the pest defense end, we are going to try our own kind of interactive course for structural IPM. So we actually had Dr. Green, who is the founder of IPM Institute, do a webinar last month with these Walcott College Prep students. And next week, he's going to be doing his Green Shield certified evaluation for Walcott College Prep. And that's next Thursday. So we're preparing for that right now. And that'll be the full pilot of, doing these courses for the students and then getting them involved in the certification and evaluation of their schools. And then hopefully we will have enough, material that we can apply this to other schools across the Midwest and potentially across the nation, and really try to get IPM more into curriculums than they were in the past. So those are the two programs that I want to go through today: the School IPM Working Group and the Midwest Grows Green Lawn and Land Forum. We also manage the TIC IPM Working Group, which will have a presentation next month for Pests and Progress with Scott Larson. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that people may have about our programs.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Yes, please, any questions that you have, type into that Q&A section there at the bottom of your screen. And as people, if they have any questions, hopefully they do. But I guess one question I have is, what do you see as the largest challenge to motivate these schools, park districts, municipalities, like anyone to kind of adopt IPM?
Yeah, it's that budget, that operations and maintenance budget. I talked about it with schools, but I also have, I recently did a Green Shield certified evaluation with a city, a municipality, for landscapes, so outdoor landscaping. And they were talking to me about their budget, and they had 200,000 or so for planting of trees, and then a little bit of maintenance of those trees. And then for the rest of their landscapes, they only had 50,000 for the maintenance of it. And so that there's just that huge disparity between installation of these plants and then the actual maintenance of the rest of your landscapes. And, they have 50,000 for hundreds of acres that they're managing. And so you can't really do much with that budget for the maintenance. So that we really need to encourage decision makers to increase their budget for maintenance of their plants as well as maintenance of their facilities.
That's certainly true. I see that a lot. There's a lot of, you can get volunteers and lots of encouragement when things are going in. That's exciting, but apparently pruning trees and things is less exciting.
Yeah.
We had a question about, I know some of your things there's a charge for, not like of the upcoming webinars. Are they free or is there a charge? If you kind of explain.
Yeah, we are charging about we're charging $20 flat for tomorrow's webinar, and that's because it's a 2-hour webinar, and for helping for hosting as well as our organization, but primarily also because this webinar is considered for continuing education credits for a number of different states. I believe in the North Central region, we have Michigan and Indiana and Ohio. If I'm correct, you can get continuing education units for attending that webinar in those states.
Thanks. Are the videos and stuff afterwards? Some webinars you make available later?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the webinars last week, we did make it available, the recording immediately to people that registered. And then we're going to make it available to the public probably about in a month or so. We like to develop those kind of short summaries for our lawnandland.org and then link to our YouTube channel for the full webinar. So we give kind of a summary of what the information that was presented. And then if you want to learn more, you can go to that full video.
So back to, the challenge is like upfront, budgeting upfront, has there been any success on how to encourage that budgeting for kind of annual maintenance, things like that? Are there any districts you've seen that success in that area, increasing the budget?
Yeah, for a little bit, we've been able to, so we have those 3-year sustainable landscape management plans. And then the other thing that we do for the technical assistance program is we really try to encourage these, I'm talking on the park district level or on the outdoor level. We really try to encourage them to prioritize their landscapes, because we say, if you're going to go organic or if you're going to go natural or IPM, you need to have certain expectations. Not everything's going to look like a golf course, right? If you're going to do a golf course, you're going to have a multi-million-dollar budget for all these acres. So what we want to do is we want to prioritize your fields in 3 different classes. A class A would be your highest priority. That'll be like your soccer fields or your football fields that are used by a lot of different athletics, specifically probably like high school athletics or anything like that, where you want high quality turf grass or vegetation. Category 2 or class B fields are more moderate. They could be athletic fields, but not used at the level of these class A fields. And then class C are just, natural areas or just areas that aren't used for athletics, that if there are weeds there, the community probably wouldn't even notice and they won't even complain. So you can just mow only. And so by doing that kind of practice with our park districts, then we say, oh, you're doing too much mowing or you're doing too much pesticide or fertilizer applications on these class C category 3 fields, let's just eliminate that completely. That'll save some time, that'll save some costs, and then you can shift the costs towards the management that is necessary to our class A and class B fields. And so that's the exercise that we start off with for all of our park districts. And we've found a lot of success with that model.
That's really interesting. I've heard about, you don't think about the health, like you want those class A, like kids falling and things like that. Like it's having healthy turf is not just aesthetics at that point, it's a health issue.
Yeah, it's a functional issue. Absolutely. And then, the other thing that we talk about too is, grass is a lot better for kids. Well-maintained grass is a lot better for kids and injuries, preventing injuries than artificial turf.
Right. Don't think I see any other questions coming in. So I want to thank you so much, Ryan, for your time and helping us learn more about all the awesome things that the IPM Institute is doing. And thank you everyone for joining in. Just to let you know, our next Pests and Progress webinar will be on Wednesday, May 17th at 12:30 p.m. Central Time, 1:30 Eastern. And we're going to learn more about the TIC IPM Working Group with Scott Larson. So we'll learn more about one of the working groups run out of the IPM centers. So thank you all so much for attending, and hopefully we'll see you in a month.